Welcome to the S Club with Sarah Oberbrunner, where we are talking about real life, relationships, and real estate. And in the first few episodes, we basically took each one of those and dissected what each component represents. I'm her brother, Carrie Oberbrunner, and we are in the final unpacking of the word real estate. And so, Sarah, I know that's probably a word that might have caused what? Fear, anxiety, panic, overwhelm in your past?
I would say all of the above.
So why do you think a lot of people know they should value real estate but might have anxiety around it?
I think it's the uncertainty. And it's a lot of talk about stuff going on in the market that causes people to maybe be fearful of purchasing. So
they might get sound bites, and whether they're listening to this next week or in 10 years, there's some predictors that never change. Mm-hmm. I mean, the market goes up, it goes down, rates go up, rates go down. It's constant. Mm-hmm. And so at least my wealth advisor tells me, Carrie, you can't wait for the perfect time to mm-hmm. invest because no one can predict the market. I've seen you make investments personally, but I think that says something. You know, not a lot of real estate agents might get in the game, but mm-hmm. you're in the game too. Why have you made it a strategic part of your own wealth plan to purchase real estate?
I want to be able to model the way for my clients, and out of a lot of real estate investments that I've made, I haven't lost money yet on any of them. In fact, I've had higher return on investment on my real estate purchases than my money in the market.
And I see that you even make upgrades, and you potentially, I know some people these days buy properties and then make improvements. Mm-hmm. So you are somebody who's also making upgrades to real estate too. Mm-hmm. That's great. So we obviously shared the same parents, and they went through tough times like anybody. I mean, back in the 80s, I heard rates were sometimes like 18% mm-hmm. or something unbelievable. So when did you decide I'm going to weigh into real estate, even though I might have had past anxiety about it? Mm-hmm. What year was that, and what made you make the jump?
Yeah, I would say I bought my first house when I was 23. So that was back in 2003.
Wow.
And I knew I liked real estate at the time. So I did get licensed, but I didn't do anything with it until 2014.
What?
Yeah.
So you got licensed in 2003.
I did.
But you didn't do anything.
Yeah, for 11 years.
Why?
Mm-hmm. I was comfortable where I was at Victoria's Secret, and I didn't want to make the leap to go from instability or stability that I had with Victoria's Secret to instability.
I don't think that's uncommon, though.
Mm-hmm.
I know I wrote my first book in 2003, but then didn't go pro until 2012. Mm-hmm. So I think sometimes it does take people maybe like a life event mm-hmm. or a crucial conversation. Mm-hmm. But then when you did make the leap, you've also added certifications. Mm-hmm. And this recent one I thought was really cool with seniors. Mm-hmm. So like, where did that come from? And what can you now do to help seniors?
Yeah, I was thinking when mom and dad, as they're getting older, I need to be able to advise them with what would be the best course of action for them when they transition from maybe the house that they're at to senior living. Mm. And it's a topic that I didn't really know anything about.
Yeah.
So that kind of inspired me to pursue further a certification to be able to better help the 50-plus market.
Yeah.
And also, now that I've been in real estate for 10 years, a lot of my clients are transitioning into different life stages. And it was really important for me to be able to help them every step of the way and be an expert in every area.
I know I just visited mom and dad, and they were super excited because you helped them connect with, I don't know, was it an attorney? Mm-hmm. And now, dad showed me when I pass, when he passes, he's got everything all lined up. So whether it's them transitioning from the house or into the next life, everything's now set. And I see the confidence that it's given them, because prior to that, none of us kids knew what was going to happen. So is that part of your senior certification?
Absolutely.
You're like creating this unique thing that gives people confidence?
Yeah, and protecting their investments. So a lot of us don't like to talk about what's going to happen when we're older, but eventually we're all going to end up somewhere, whether that be senior housing and out of our houses. And I think for a lot of people, it's the paralysis, like they're fearful that they just don't know what step to take. So I did the same process that I had mom and dad do before I did it, where I went through and I kind of figured out my will and my estate and all that and made sure I had my properties titled correctly. So it's important for me to make sure, mom and dad and my clients have that as well.
Because if you don't do it right, there's horror stories. You could essentially not have it titled right, and the state gets ownership of your property. Wow. So the risk for people is pretty significant if they don't weigh into these conversations.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us just don't know about it.
Yeah.
It's not something that's talked about.
Gotcha. So you went through the certifications, and now as part of the S Club, you are really attracting the right fit senior clients who want to, that's not only who you attract, but that's now another lane that is coming to you.
Yeah, I've added a couple certifications in the past couple years. One would be the senior, and then the past year I got probate certified as well. So I'm able to help a family or families, navigate when somebody passes away, just the legal aspects of probate.
Wow.
Which a lot of us don't know anything about either. I didn't know anything about it before I got certified.
Yeah. So you're somebody who, you're not embarrassed to say that you didn't go on from high school to college, and yet you are one of the top lifelong learners that I know. I love learning. And why do you not stop learning? You could just sit back and, the statistics are incredible about how many people actually even read a book after they graduate from high school. I think some people maybe are learners and some people aren't. But how can you ease into that? What made that decision for you to keep learning?
Yeah, for me, it's important to always grow. So I never want to be the same person that I was even 6 months from now. So I'm constantly trying to grow and learn. And I started off by just reading personal development books and tuning into a couple people who really aligned with what I was looking for, podcasts. And any opportunity I get, I want to learn.
Yeah.
And I think part of it came from after high school, financially, it just wasn't an option for me to go to school. So I think that self-limiting belief that I had for a while, that if I didn't have a formal education, I wouldn't be successful. I kind of self-taught myself a lot of things.
Yeah. No, I see that. And, we've shared mentors, coaches, John Maxwell, many others throughout the years. But I do feel like there's people who are just comfortable with status quo, and maybe there's people who are listening to this podcast. I feel like anybody who's listening to this podcast fits probably in our camp who says they want to grow. And entertainment's fine. I don't know if you know this, but the word amuse means not think. So muse is think, A is not. So amusement is not thinking. And there's a lot of the world today who is choosing not to think. But I think then on the alternative, there's a lot of people who are wanting to think. And so you would say for a senior who's normally naturally timid to talk about these important topics like transitioning to other forms of housing, now is the time.
Yeah. And I'm going to start doing more education around it too. So it's topics that we're able to discuss.
Yeah.
Where people can come and just learn about it. Same with how to title your property correctly, the importance of wills and estate planning.
That's cool. So you view your real estate as serving, not selling.
Serving and just adding value.
Yeah. I think that's why you're being sought after. So let's close this episode with the same question, which is that R factor question that we get from Dan Sullivan of Strategic Coach, which is, if you and I were sitting here 3 years from now, what would happen personally and professionally for you to feel like in the area of real estate, you've been successful?
Yeah, in real estate, personally, I would like to buy at least 2 more investment properties in the next couple of years to add to my portfolio.
Yeah.
Professionally in real estate, I just want to continue to grow. And
You want to check like more seniors specifically, or all demographics?
I would say all demographics.
Yeah. But as long as they're part of that right fit S Club.
Correct. For me, the most important thing is having a right fit client.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, I look forward to seeing how many other certifications you get. And just like Mom and Dad shared, it sounds like you're actually building a network too, though, of like that legal team, that attorney, people who can fulfill the contracts that, what do you call them, wills and
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to be an
plans.
expert in every single area, and I'm the first to admit that I don't know every avenue and route that would be involved in just helping somebody transition, like for a senior, into the next stage of life.
But
I'm building a team and a network around me of trusted individuals who are experts in those areas.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I do the same thing in my business. You can't be an expert in everything, but you can have a trusted network that you use. And I think this was incredibly valuable, Sarah. So you've taught me a few things in the area of real estate. So I encourage you with the S Club to keep listening in. Sarah will begin to interview people now in this next season of the podcast. We are going to continue this conversation for our S Club Encore section, which we go off camera and we essentially have a conversation for her private clients on the topic of real estate and give even more value. So I would encourage you at this point to rate and review the podcast, share it with a friend. You may know someone in the area of real estate or a senior, somebody heading into that demographic that they need the answers that were provided here. So be a great friend and rate, review, and share this podcast. We'll see you on the next episode of the S Club.